I'm here with Michael O'Donnell. Michael, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to be here with you.
What a phenomenal office you got here in Arizona. And, you know, I've been in the solar industry for about 5 years now, and I've always looked up to you and still do to this day. I mean, you are the Tom Brady of solar. You're the Tiger Woods of solar. And I think it's just so cool how in my journey, you know, I've progressed to the point where I can sit here and do some content with you that people really want to hear from you, and maybe a perspective from someone that's, you know, used you as a role model, even though we haven't talked in person. Like, you know, we met in person for the first time maybe 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And I was mentioning like talks that you did in Florida with other companies that were posted on YouTube. And it's just very surreal to me to be like, wow, I used to listen to all your information. I use it on my teams, and it's very cool to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, it's surreal to me to have the CEO of a solar company that's as successful as Horizon to be saying the things you just said. So I'm just going to normally, instead of having some smart aleck thing to hide my uncomfortableness, I'm just going to take it in and say thank you. No, that's unreal and surreal to have you say that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And here in Arizona, you know, with our friend Chase, Horizon's actually going to become a great partner of SunSolar Solutions, and we're really looking forward to it. So tell me a little bit more about, you know, why SunSolar Solutions is becoming very selective about the dealers that they're bringing on. And for me, you know, from my perspective, I always like to pick an installation partner that has my customer's best interest in mind. My business model as a whole is definitely reliant upon referrals. You know, the process is extremely important to us. We'll generally pay more for that. And I think it's really important to realize that, like, you know, even as Horizon, we had to go through a really big vetting process to be a partner with you, which I appreciate. So what is it that you're looking for in dealers? Are you actively looking for new dealers, and kind of what are the plans there?
It kind of goes back to some of the things you were talking about originally of, you know, me showing up at D2D cons and getting, you know, 2 golden doors instead of 1, and 2.5, 3 million watts of solar, and people like Bill Murphy going, oh, how'd you do that? Come talk at my thing. Like, oh, okay, so I do. I was probably pretty happy to go, oh, I must just be that good.
Right.
To sell 2.5 million watts of solar when everybody's like trying to get to the pinnacle summit, which is 1.
Yeah.
But I kind of left off the fact, which I talked about at SolarCon this year, that one of the reasons I was able to sell that much solar was that I was literally driving a Ferrari that goes 250 miles an hour around that track. And I've started talking about that more recently to say, you know, if you're stepping into a 70 mile an hour, you know, Chevy Chevette, do they make those still? No, haven't for a lot of years. That thing's not going to go more than 70 miles an hour.
Right.
So if you really want to do 250, you've got to be in a vehicle that does that. SunSolar Solutions is a vehicle that does go 250 miles an hour around the track. You can sell 2.5 megawatts of solar. We've had multiple people do that year after year. And the reason is it was built by my partner, Val Barraquette. We had 2 great salesmen, myself and Troy Dimbakowitz. And we're both great salesmen, but honestly, if we're driving a car that goes 100 miles an hour, we'd have been there going, hey, 1 megawatt's pretty darn good.
Right.
You know? The reason we were able to do 2 and 2.5 is because it was built to make a salesperson that efficient, that effective, literally enable you to do almost nothing besides set appointments, be in appointments, close appointments. And then once they're closed, once they're on the path, literally be able to forget them.
Right.
Because you know they're in better hands than if you were obsessing on them yourself. And that enabled me to say, okay, if I just keep pitching and pitching them over, they'll catch them and get the solar on the roof, and the customer's going to be happy. And more important than that, become a fountain of referrals.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to sell at that level going through a summer. And, you know, my track record is to sell about 1 million watts over a summer when, you know, at least a third of that is coming from referrals.
Right.
And I've gotten pretty, you know, pretty spoiled thinking that every time I sell somebody solar, the system's going to go up on the roof, they're going to be happy, and then the phone's going to ring and they're going to have referrals for me. Yeah. And that's been my experience. And that's a big part of what's enabled me to hit those numbers.
So for me personally, you know, referrals is everything to me, and it seems like you share that mindset. And here at SunSolar Solutions, for your internal sales teams, for other sales teams, you have a lot of successful reps. And do you attribute that to the culture around here or the process? I mean, is there something that you're doing when you're selling those appointments that solidifies the referrals, or is it mainly the process that SunSolar Solutions has put together? Is there anything advice-wise that you would tell maybe a new rep out there or a seasoned one that's constantly having to continue to get boots on the ground to sustain consistent volume?
It's really both. And so I was kind of lucky in that I'd kind of weirdly wandered into looking for a telemarketing job, a solar company in 1984. I mean, that's a weird date even for people who are in solar. 1984. Wow, was anybody alive then? I was. And I was selling solar after I was just literally getting a job on the phone in a telemarketing office. And I didn't care what the product was. I just needed to earn enough money to get through school. And I was in college, and boom, just weirdly, they were selling solar. That was weird because no one ever heard of solar then. They were solar water heaters. And they knew, but these were tin men that knew how to get the appointment. They knew how to light the customer's butt on fire during the presentation, and then learn that there were no be-backs, that we're going to close this thing today. It's not the meeting about the meeting. This is it. We're doing this today. And how to do that so that it does not come off as a cheesy, high-pressure sales pitch. And there's a way to do that if you learn how to do it. So part of it is we know how to show people how to do that. I'm looking forward to doing that with your reps. You already know, a lot of that. We're going to add to that.
Yeah.
But to take, world-class and time-tested sales techniques and create world-class salesmanship and really people who consider that to be a craft and a trade, and be able to show that to people coming up so that it works effectively is a huge piece of it. And that's why, last year there were, maybe 25 guys on stage. I'm not talking about this January, but the January before, there were 25 guys on stage, and there were getting a Golden Door Award, and 6 of them were SunSolar people, because we know how to teach people to do that. So that's number one. But then number two, if you start selling well, and then end up spending 30% of your time babysitting the sales, 60% of your time, or having your whole sales blown out because the customers end up unhappy, angry, and you're losing conviction, losing confidence. Closing a sale is really about the process of transferring confidence and conviction to the homeowner at the moment of truth. Right. And if you don't have that confidence and conviction, you really can't, transition. And if you are, you're a con man.
Exactly.
If you know what you're selling is a box of rocks, or you're opening up a can of worms, and you're able to give that sort of confidence over to the homeowner, that's the job of a con man. Right. So you really got to know this is what they're getting. I do feel good about it. And I can reference, dozens and dozens of customers that are super happy and know that that's what's giving me the confidence to make a recommendation that we move the process forward.
Absolutely.
Today.
Yeah. And I think for me, at least, I've sold solar deals personally in 9 states across the country. Horizon sells in 23 states. We have team offices in 4 states across the country. And for me, a lot of times it's tough as a single owner of the business to vet our installation partners. And initially, I think we grew too fast, utilizing, software platforms that had it figured out, quote unquote. And that allowed for a lot of my reps to lose faith and confidence in the process. And no matter how good you are or I am, if someone's new to this and they're excited about the opportunity, which we all obviously are for them, and they go in there and they put a couple jobs in there, and it doesn't work out the way it was intended, these people cancel, there's issues with the installation, and we're all preaching, referrals, you're going to get lots more jobs from these jobs. The first one's the hard one. How difficult is that as a new rep? And it's very hard. And sadly, there's a lot of people that come into our industry that would be rock stars that work for the wrong people and put jobs to the wrong companies, that end up having to leave the industry because they no longer have that conviction. And I think it's really important to work with companies like SunSolar Solutions, like Horizon Energy Consultants, where you have ownership groups that truly care about the end user, the customer. Obviously the dealer is the customer for a lot of installation companies, but you still want the main identity of that installation partner to have the end user, the customer in mind, because inevitably it's still best for me if my customer's happy. Yeah. And I think, I wish more people that have tried the industry or haven't, when they do, it's really important that they come work at a SunSolar Solutions and work for companies that truly do care like you do.
Well, you've repeated something over and over and over again that I think is the cornerstone of why this is going to be such a successful partnership, and why we've sort of vetted each other. Right. Said this is who I want to work with for installation. I wish I was in 23 countries. 23 countries. 23 states. Right. Already. We're kind of on our way. We're expanding into Nevada. This year we'll be in Texas and Florida. Over the next year, I'm looking forward to growing into your footprint over time. But we've deliberately decided not to do that too fast.
Yes.
So that we could do it right.
Yeah.
And the thing that you've said about having happy customers, and in, what takes that, alignment of values is you telling me I want the customers to be happy, and I'm not looking for the lowest red line. And if somebody's 10, 15 cents difference, but that delivers massive value and lots of 5-star reviews and a lower cancellation rate, and a much higher frequency of referrals, well, that outstrips that 10 or 15 cents by, eons and eons. And so, but that takes wisdom.
Yeah.
That takes smarts. When somebody first gets that idea, why don't I put out a shingle, and I've got some, some company's red line out there. It takes, massive failure to learn, well, maybe that, maybe the lowest number isn't what's best for me. And maybe that's not what produces the highest revenue.
Right.
But that takes wisdom. And obviously you've been around the block several times. And so, that's why I think we're aligned so well.
Right. And I think both of us at heart, you're obviously the greatest of all time in the solar industry, but both of us at heart are salespeople. And I think, having a little bit of an operator mindset that we both have, but still being predominantly sales, it helps us realize that a lot faster. And if you're a new dealer out there and you're new into solar sales, I think what Mike O'Donnell's saying is that it's important that you recognize why pricing is where it's at. There's a lot of companies out there that'll be here today that offer great pricing that won't be here in 6 months. Finance companies are becoming stricter. The industry is changing, and it's condensing to partners that actually care about the customer. And you have to think where those extra cents are going. I mean, if you want good service, if you want that support, if you want to be able to sell the job, forget about it and go on to the next one and not waste half of a day following up on operations, making sure everything's going well, then you're going to have to pay more. I mean, it just makes complete sense. Do you want your installation partners running skeleton crews with one person doing 10 people's jobs? And for me, that answer is no. And maybe it's because of my experience, but most importantly, people have to realize that, we make more money as a company with Horizon by using installation companies that might be a little bit more expensive, quote unquote, because our processes with these EPCs like yourself is so good that we get referral on referral. At the point I'm at now, I still go with my teams, I train my teams, my top guys go with the teams, they knock, but realistically, they don't have to. There's still so many referrals coming in from their past jobs because we picked the right partners, that those 10, 15 cents like you're talking about truly is irrelevant, and it makes up for it in the referrals.
Yeah, I mean, having the right tech platform so that you're not spending all of your time trying to babysit what's going on, and having the ability to have real engineers verify designs, and knowing the quote that's going to the customer includes everything they need, and that we're not going to get back charged for all these change orders. And, that's a deliberate strategy that EPCs have. We'll put a tool out there that we know is going to shortfall what's actually needed to have a successful install, and then we'll be happy to sell them a main panel upgrade or a D-rate or whatever that sub-panel cost is, or trenching and all this stuff. Why can't we get that up front, get it into the proposal, and have that be part of the $167 a month that the customer is going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. That. Why would we not do that? Well, the answer is because as an EPC, I'll be more competitive if you show them the wrong price and I just deduct it from your commission. So we don't believe in throwing out estimates. We believe in providing customers with a quote and providing the salesperson with a quote.
Yeah.
And then we have people getting paid the right amount at a very high frequency, and they're having a huge, stick rate, low cancellation rate. Industry average 40%. On cancellation. How much are you really making with a better number if 40% of them are canceling?
I mean, I think for me in particular, and reps, when you accurately can know what the adders are before you sell the job, that goes a long way. Because there's nothing worse, 3 weeks after you sold the job, getting that email, getting that notification, oh, there's a main panel upgrade. Should you have known that? Probably, but your installation partner should have helped you. And that's one of the most differentiating factors at SunSolar Solutions is that, when I put in a job and someone builds a proposal for me, I know what's going on with that job. I know what I have to include in there and what to expect, because I don't want to have to go back and do re-signs. That's just wasting times where I could have other appointments with new opportunities.
And normally they choose not to, and so it comes out of their commission, and they're just getting paid half of what they thought they were going to get paid, and then no one's happy. Everybody's unhappy about a deal.
And then the rep doesn't seem like the expert, so there's a lot of negatives to that. And truly, like, in all honesty, this is the first installation partner that I've had that has that stuff under control. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you know other companies that do that, but truly it's very impressive, the process that's gone underway. So
and no matter how impressive you and I are as salespeople, that's not what makes a happy customer.
Right.
That's what has a signed up customer.
Yeah.
But for them to be a happy customer, it has to go well. They have to enjoy the process. The installation has to be clean. It has to be, quality. And then their roof needs to not leak.
Yes.
Well, in order for their roof not to leak, it's got to be installed properly, especially on a Spanish tile, cement tile installation. If it's not installed properly, it's going to leak.
Right.
Then they're not going to be very happy, and it's not a good thing for anybody. So what creates a happy customer is the product being delivered well and it doing what we told them that it was going to do, which one requires us saying the right things, being accurate about what we're telling them. And California is now a post net metering world. Arizona has been a post net metering market for a long time. We know how to sell solar here, and it's not knock, knock, knock. Hey, you should go solar because it's $100 a month cheaper.
Right.
That hasn't been true here for a long time.
Right.
We've had to say, hey, knock, knock, knock. You should be looking at solar because it's a superior financial strategy.
Right.
It's going to achieve financial independence, energy security. It's going to provide all of these things to your family, and that's the reason you should go solar. And is it, $5, $10, $15 a month more, $5, $10, $15 a month less? I mean, that's really irrelevant.
Exactly.
And so we've been, honing that and teaching people how to do that for a long time. What I'm really excited about is working with your team, working with yourself. And I don't know of an EPC that adds to the skill set of becoming great salespeople in the solar world. And that's something SunSolar can really bring, because that's really the other half of our brand. It's the quality of the installation, but it's we know how to put people on stage with double Golden Door Awards, Golden Door Awards, and have them make $500,000, $1 million a year. This is something we know how to do, and we're excited to do that with you and your team.
Absolutely. And just, the final thing I kind of want to ask, because I think it's valuable for people, including myself out there, is, the salespeople have really good processes across the country, and there's other good salesmen, but nobody has ever accumulated a level of success that you have. And for me personally, I look at that and I say, okay, what really is it about Michael O'Donnell or Maud that makes you so great? And for me, I'm sure there's many things, but if you could just talk on the level of knowledge, and you're constantly learning. I mean, you've been an expert and the best of the best in this industry for years now. But the other day when we first met, you were like, "Do you know what just happened?" And I was like shocked because
what's happening in the world,
right?
Yeah,
and you knew something that had just happened. So, kind of, what is your process, and where are some places that salespeople and door-to-door salesmen can focus on, making sure to always fine-tune their skill set and always be learning? Because if you're still learning, then everybody should still be learning.
Well, and I have to tell you, that learning process is coming from a variety of places. One is, we're going to have a meeting every single day from 8 to 8:30. That's the no matter what call. Well, we're like in a mastermind, and we're all a receptor for what's going on in the world. What are customers saying? How are they reacting when we show them things? I happen to get really lucky that in 1984, I was shown how to do a presentation and a close, and to do it in one visit and close today. I knew how to do that. So when I showed up in 2015, winning 2 of these when other people were 1, it was kind of a thing like, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and I just knew how to do it. Why, and Sam Taggart was instrumental in convincing me why I should share this with people that I'm not making an override on. I don't know why I did that, but I started sharing it then, and that led to the MOD Sales Academy and the no matter what calls and those sorts of things. So that's really a mastermind where this stuff is coming in. But however, it's our job to be an expert. What are we supposed to be an expert on? What we're supposed to be an expert on is how this fits into a customer's roof, how it fits into their life, how it fits into their financial future. Can you speak to those?
Right.
And I'm always talking about, you want to be talking about 3 things that have nothing to do with solar panels as most of the presentation. And that has to do with what's going on in the world. And the reason solar is happening, it's interesting that we have this technology, but that's not why people are adopting it. They're adopting it because of what's going on in the world. And so, yeah, I'm not here because I think you're interested in solar. That would be weird. By the way, we have you down as not interested in solar. We're here about the new law. Do you know about the new law? The president signed it, and how that affects you and what's going to happen to you if you don't adopt, this alternative to fossil fuels. What's happening with fossil fuels? From a policy standpoint, fossil fuels have literally been dealt a death sentence. And we're not talking about the bigger picture, climate change, Paris Climate Accord, there's a Green New Deal. We're talking about 2 weeks ago. The government coming out and giving fossil fuels a death sentence. And if you don't know how to wrap that into your pitch, if you don't know how to have that conversation at the door, if you don't know how to bring that into the presentation you're having with the customer about solar, if you're not having a presentation and a conversation with the customer that kind of freaks them out, you're not doing it right. Because what's going on in the world should freak you out with regard to inflation, with regard to where we see fossil fuels going and how short a period of time and what the government's going to do about it, not just on the incentive side, but on the stick side. Most people aren't going to go solar for the incentive, not for the carrot. They're mostly going to go solar for the stick. And what is that about? Can you help a customer see that, or just feel it physically, sense this stick coming, and what does that mean for them? And if that picture is painted accurately and compellingly with the kind of passion we're talking about right now, like if they're not getting that, like they asked for, a service. This is truly a service. I believe closing isn't a gimmick. I believe closing is a service. Like when somebody invites you in their home, into their kitchen table, that's where they make decisions. And now it's time for you to provide the service. What's the service? Helping them receive the benefits of solar and having that process start today, because tomorrow is too late. And if you don't understand that, if you can't communicate that, that customer is going to end up 5 years from now without solar. It can't get solar. They've missed out on this. They've missed out on that. And they're going to think back to that meeting they invited you to, and they're going to think, I wish that guy was better at his job. So let's get better at our job. Let's get better at having that conversation. Let's learn how to bring the context of what's going on in the world. Why would I be in a presentation talking about the Congressional Budget Office? Well, because they just scored the Green New Deal. And it came out 3 times higher than what we were told when we agreed to it. And that's going to have a massive impact on that customer right now, today. And if you're not able to articulate that, you're missing like most of the boat.
Yeah, I mean, just the level of conviction you have and confidence you have is just so exciting for me to learn from you and work more, in the partnership with Horizon and SunSolar, because, truly what an honor to be able to work with you and just learn from you. And I mean, I've been reading your book, and I read a lot. I have over 500 books in my personal library, and this is one that I totally recommend everyone go out and buy right now, because it's something that if you're serious about your financial future, if you're serious about helping people and really being good at something and fully committing to something, then go and get your book, because it truly, for me, who's been in the industry a long time, was an eye-opener. And I've heard you speak about it, and I've heard many YouTube videos with you talking about it, but reading the book that you wrote, I mean, it's truly powerful. So, I hope that I can adopt the conviction that you have. I feel like my conviction's good already. I believe in solar. I'm passionate about it. But, just the energy that you give off when talking about solar is so exciting for me. I just want to go out there and start selling. So, thank you again for letting me come to your office.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to the book you're writing. For our conversation, you're in the process of writing a book.
Absolutely.
That book is needed. We all have a story to tell. We all have a book in us. To have somebody as educated and as experienced as yourself read my book and say those things again is a profound compliment. Truly humble.
It's amazing.
I really appreciate it.
No, and I mean that. And everyone on my platforms know that I only say things that are positive about people and books that I read if I truly believe it, because that's just my moral character. So truly so excited to be here with you, working with you, and looking forward to putting a lot of
excited to have Horizon as a partner. We're excited about doing business together. I'd love to have you as a friend.
Absolutely.
But to have you as a business partner, truly that's going to enrich us both and really help a lot of customers. And super excited to be doing business together and have a partnership.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brock.
Thanks.